Welcome to MPA Feedback Stream 36. I am the guild leader, and today with us we have Blayhub and Radium.
Hello.
Hi.
This is a stream we do every week for the MPA community where members submit their tracks and we listen to them live on stream and we give our feedback. And we encourage members in the chat to give feedback too to help the members gain a new perspective on their music. And if you want to get your track on one of the streams, look for the featured post in the Amino and the Discord. There's a submission form there. You can submit a track, and we do it every Friday at 8 p.m. UTC. That's 4 p.m. Eastern for people over here in the States. And tune back in next Friday. See your track on stream. All right. Couple quick other announcements. So the J Piercy Remix competition today is the last day to submit. So if you didn't, if you're already submitted, that's great. If you're still working on yours last minute, today is the day. If you haven't started and you just want to jump in and do a one-day track in a couple hours, there's a lot of great tracks are written in a few hours. So download the pack, submit it by the end of the day, and I'll get those over to J Piercy to listen to, and J Piercy will be picking the winner and all that stuff. All right, and just something along those lines, in future competitions, I really want to somehow get better rewards. I know the rewards right now are nothing but basically exposure within the community. So the plan is to get bigger, better rewards, even if somehow we work out some kind of crowdfunding, community fund, something small, but we gather from the community some kind of reward and the winner gets the reward. So that's always an option. Okay. All right. Another announcement. Tune in every Saturday on our Twitch channel. I've been doing the production streams. I have a really fun time doing those, and they're doing really good on Twitch. Like I keep saying, they get over 100 views, but what's neat about the last one is it surpassed the previous week. So the last stream I did on Saturday already got to 100 views, and the previous week is only at 100 views. So it passed the previous. So I don't know. Someone's watching it, so let's keep that going. And we're gaining subscribers or followers on Twitch up to 107, and that's up from like 60 when I first started doing these. So people are watching, or at least finding it. I don't know if it's members from the community or just other Twitch people, but let's keep that going. I'll continue to do those on Saturdays. Last Saturday was real fun. I had Super Z Russell sent me some samples, and we messed around with those. And I might continue that tomorrow because the track's sounding pretty neat. I'm clean it up a little, and we'll do a stream tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow, our Twitch channel at the same time as this stream, 8 p.m. UTC, and follow us on Twitch if you haven't already. Okay, so that's pretty much for the announcements that I can think of right now. Be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and like this video today to help the algorithms and stuff. So, all right, I'll pass this over to Blayhub.
All right, okay. So let's start with our today's stream, which is the feedback stream. And let's just go right into our first submission of the day, which is going to be Emotions version 3 by DjShadowWolf. Have fun! All right, so that was Emotions version 3 by DjShadowWolf. And before anyone gets upset, yes, I only played the first 3 minutes of this one because it was over 5 minutes, which is our time limit. So I had to cut it down, and there wasn't much more happening after that, which is a hint at what I'm going to say, probably. But for now, I'm first going to read DjShadowWolf's... Oh, sorry, you couldn't hear it right now because he was deleted because I was dumb. Yeah, I'm going to now read DjShadowWolf's note that they left us, which goes as follows. I work really hard on this song, but some melodies are changed and almost 30 patterns are added to it. I also tried really hard on the drums at the drop, but it's the best I could do to get it to sound right. It sounds like a machine gun going off. Thanks for all the feedback. It inspires me to do more. Oh, that's nice. All right. So, what did you guys think? What did you think, Guild?
All right. I thought this was a real simple track, DjShadowWolf, and as everybody knows, and I always kind of caveat that like I try to give feedback, you know, to a person like based on like tracks I've heard of theirs in the past and where I think y'all are at in your music, you know, like learning how to use your DAW, how to write music and stuff like that. I don't want to say, oh, well, this track is just horrible, it's not as good, and just say it's bad. You know, I'm going to say, you know, yes, this is not, it's got a lot of things wrong with it. So a label and stuff would say, no, this needs to be mixed and mastered. It needs more, and it's all this stuff. So it would definitely get turned down for radio play. It's not commercial radio. There's a lot of problems. The mix has some issues. So I want to definitely say that there's some issues here. But I want to then turn my feedback over to what you did right and what you could improve on and like where you're at in your level. Because this is compared to your other tracks, you know, I can see you're getting better. But still, just as far as the track altogether, this track is just it's really simple. Like it's missing some stuff. But as far as I want to talk about the mix first. The mix, the main thing that was bugging me in the mix was this. I think it's the side chain that you had going on, or maybe the kick itself. But it was ducking way too harshly. Like every time the kick hit, it wasn't a smooth side chain. It wasn't like getting out of the way of the kick and kind of coming back in, you know, in a rhythmic way. It was like ducking out and it felt like it was really like it had a weird pump to it, I guess you could say. So you basically just need to adjust your side chain, whatever you're using for the ducking, your side chain ducking or whatever you want to call it, and adjust that. I know in future bass and some producers, they love that really heavy side chain where it does, you know, everything gets knocked away and kind of like gets sucked back in from the ether or whatever. I've heard it described, but you got to still have a smooth rhythm. The curve of the automation needs to fit with the groove. If it doesn't fit with the groove, it'll throw the groove off, and it's really noticeable in this track. So I would adjust the side chain and whatever you have going on there. But then as far as the mix goes, it wasn't a clear mix. You have a lot. I won't even call it muddy. It just wasn't a spatial mix. At least the level I was listening. So I'm saying like you can open up the mix, you can fix the side chain, but then back to like it just being empty, I think you could probably add another element like a lead that doesn't repeat at all through the whole thing. Just something that just kind of sings or lead. Like usually it'd be vocals, but if you don't want to add vocals, you could add some kind of lead. And by lead, I don't mean just a lead melody. I mean a lead like solo, like something that just literally doesn't repeat itself at all. It just kind of continues through the whole track, you know, and only repeats itself maybe on the chorus or the hook or something. Anyways, that's what I would do. Good job. Thanks for submitting. Like I said, I could tell you're getting better. I could tell where you're improving and stuff based on what I can remember from your other tracks. But you definitely, you know, still need a lot of practice. But anyways, I'll pass it over to Blay.
All right. So yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure again what I should say, but there's luckily one thing I can say right up front, and that is that I want to commend you for listening to previous feedback. I think you did at least. I think it's something we mentioned before, which is actually the loudness of your track. I'm very proud. This was playing at 100% volume, which means someone listened. You paid attention to your true peak. You paid attention to. I don't know if you paid attention to to the Loves metering. I think you did. It was really close, to EBU R128. A bit high for that still, but this is really good for online streaming. What you did, so you didn't go over the true peak. You had enough headroom. This is great. This is great. Wait, actually, I'm gonna show you guys all tracks that were submitted today. Oh, by the way, we got 5 tracks submitted today. But you're gonna see right that the beginning, the first track. Look how much headroom there is. Look at that. Look, there's actual peaks. There is a loud moment that can actually be loud. Look at that. Do you see that? First track, track number 1. Then look at the other ones. Oh my god, what are you guys doing? I'm gonna pull this up for every track today. I'm gonna talk about this and there's, I think you can see one in the middle there, which I'm gonna rant about quite a bit. Spoilers.
Yeah, the one in the middle is too loud. I like the one I like the best is the second one for EDM, but for this track, it's
oh no, Gil. Yeah.
I do. You need to get close.
But great job. Really proud of you. Really proud of you. For listening to our feedback, to listening to the thing I've been saying for 36 streams. Pretty much 36 streams.
Yeah. But...
So great job. We'll get to that, Guild. And actually, I think you misunderstand how this works, how Spotify works. But I'm going to point out a video later again. But this is great, so you did really well on that. However, speaking about the music itself, a bit repetitive. A little bit repetitive. It's very repetitive. I would have done so much more with this, but I feel like this is more like a work print, like a blueprint. It's like a base. But I think there's maybe... I hope there's going to be more you're doing with it, because it's called Emotions, and there wasn't really any emotions. There wasn't really one emotion. It was more like a general setting. So I'm missing a bit more of that, but, I'm going to let it slide for today, because I'm really proud of you for not saturating the loudness to 0 dB in the digital meter in your DAW. Great job. Really proud.
Would you think that Spotify would turn that up instead of down, though?
No, this is perfect. Because they would leave it how it is. They would leave it how it is.
They'll raise it up to -14.
They would leave it exactly how it is.
All right.
This is honestly this is perfect. But yeah, pretty much perfect for at least for EBU R128. It's pretty close. There's much adjusting you'd have to do. So Spotify would gladly take this and do no adjustments. Maybe some slide. I couldn't tell. The thing is, it's got so much headroom. I don't think Spotify would touch this one. I think this would be perfect. All the other tracks, they'd get compressed. Anyway, that's 4 minutes from me.
That's enough for that. For now. We'll touch on that each track, and then we'll get a whole picture by the end of the project.
We'll talk about this, especially track number 3. But all right. So, Radium, what did you think?
Okay. Oops, I was looking for the unmute button. Hi, everyone. I will keep my feedback short because I am definitely doing homework.
Exam season time.
It's actually an exam that I'm doing, but what was I gonna say? Yeah. First comment about your song. I don't know why. It kind of triggered the soundtrack of like a random game, like a random Flash game that I used to play when I was little. I don't know what game it was, but it kind of reminded me of that. So it's useless information, but now you have it, so enjoy it. For your track on its own, my number one complaint, like before the repetitiveness, is the fact that there's like such a huge lack of movement. There's nothing about your track that is poignant. There's nothing about it that's enticing. Even if it were repetitive, the drops, they're very lukewarm, if I may. There's a lack of instrument variation. There's nothing about it that kind of gets you, that makes you want to move or whatever. It's really like, it's almost elevator music. But that's how that's how you feel when you listen to elevator music. And it's just like staring into place and waiting to get to your destination. And that's kind of how I can compare your track. And how do you fix a track that has no movement? Well, you have to do a lot of things, in my opinion. A variation in the melody definitely would have helped. A variation in the instrument choice too, because you mentioned having 30 patterns, but I don't hear 30 patterns in your track. A better drop, because even the drop was like very well, maybe not the drop, but maybe what happened after the drop was very lackluster. I don't know. Like my main complaint is really the lack of movement in your track. And yeah, I don't know if it's a work in progress. I don't know if it's a work you did before, but then you take it again and you change it, because I see it's the third version. So yeah, I would look into how to add movement into a track, but like real movement without like adding stuff that you don't need, but like really movement to your track. Because repetitiveness is a thing, but repetitive and it gets you moving, it's decent. Repetitive and it's bland, nah.
Totally. Was that it, Radium?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Mic drop. Okay.
Oh, right.
Go ahead, play. I'm sorry.
Right.
I was
I
gonna
was-
just
yeah,
agree like
yeah.
I usually do. I always agree. I always agree and then pass it back to you. I'm like, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
But
You gotta add
I
movement.
definitely agree with Radium.
Make
I
it
didn't
breathe.
hear 30 patterns either, unless they're
Same.
silent or whatever. I don't know. There isn't so much going on there, unfortunately, and it's really long for 5 minutes. There's very little going on for a 5-minute track. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you'll do more with it. I don't know. I mean, it's version 3, so I'm guessing maybe there's gonna be more to it at some point. I don't know. Anyway, I think we should move on to our second submission, which is going to be Time Jumper by Lil Terrestrial. Terrestrial. Have fun! All right, so that was Time Jumper. Did I read that wrong before? No. Time Jumper by Lil Terrestrial. Okay. And Lil Terrestrial did leave us a note, so here we go. The note goes as follows. An upcoming Spotify release coming out May 17th, Lil Terrestrial. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So that's the note. Yeah. What did you think, Guild?
All right, Lil Terrestrial. I mean, I enjoyed the track. This was definitely a kind of a, what you would say, background music, elevator music. I don't call music that much elevator music term because I think of a certain style when I think of that. But I know what people mean by elevator music or waiting music or background music. But the thing is, some of those genres became popular, especially in the lo-fi world and the lo-fi hip hop world and stuff. It's not even just treated as, I mean, it still kind of is. It's like, oh, study beats, that's the same way of saying elevator music or background music or something like that. Something you're gonna listen to while you're studying or something. This is different. This is like a chill instrumental track. I guess you would say this is just a chill track. But like I say a lot about your tracks, Lil Terrestrial, you kind of have your own thing going on. You're living your own little world with your little alien imagery and just kind of psychedelic in a way, spacey. And there's names for it if you want to get to subgenres. There is space synth, space, whatever you call it, space music. I don't know. There is genres for the word space in it. Anyways, you got different you got your own sound going on. But as far as really hooking me in, what I think you need to do is still also what a lot of people really need to do is it comes down to the mix. We do have some producers in our community that are really good at mixing, and then they have problems with other things, composition and things like that. But for me, and I'm kind of sad that it's like this for me, but I've become such a recording snob that I love very well mixed tracks to the point where it's not all I can enjoy. Like, I really enjoy just music in general. I can listen to an old recording and enjoy it. I really can. But when it comes to like an electronic track and someone show me and telling me they just recorded it, I just, I pick out like a little schnob, like, oh, you need to mix it better. It's not perfect. And it's just so much you can do in the mix to catch my attention. I think you can really open up electronic music or any music really about this when it comes to mixing it right and spacing things right in the left, right, and center, and all that stuff. You can really open up a mix, but especially in electronic music, you can go beyond like what is natural and really make a mix sound wide and deep, but still bassy and bright and just all that. And you can have a focus point in the middle, like something is just right there in the center, and then on the wide, like, and then the trick is with that is when you collapse it down to mono, it still sounds good. So it still all works. So that's the trick. I think just focus on your mix. I like your own sound. I'm not going to comment too much on like how I think you should at all change your sound or your genre, because it seems like I said, you got your own thing. But I would definitely work on your mix, make it sound bright and modern. And many kind of think of like if a DJ picked up your track and he mixed your track, if he or she mixed your track in between two other songs, would your track all of a sudden just sound out of place? Not because it's dynamically, like, is it just muffled? Is it muted? Is it muddy? Is it quiet? Like, what is it compared to the other two tracks that DJ's playing that would make your sound like it didn't quite belong? Sometimes it's a good way to open your mix up. But I would just work on the mix. Good job. Thanks for submitting. I won't comment on the discussion we're having with the loudness wars this time. I'll wait till next time. Go ahead, Blake.
All right, so first of all, I want to apologize for coughing. I thought I was live, so I wanted to mute myself for coughing, but I actually unmuted myself just for the cough.
Just for the cough.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Oh, well. Anyway, yes, Time Jumper. Right. I mean, the same issue applies as the previous track. I thought it was there wasn't that much going on. There wasn't really anything going on, and I don't really... One big issue for me with a lot of this is often in direct correlation with the title and what I sort of expect. I expect a certain depth you go into when you have interesting names like that. I mean, we had Emotions, which is like, oh, I expect this track to deal with emotions, you know? And if I don't get anything, then, you know, I don't really get anything. It doesn't make much sense to me. It's the same here. Time Jumper. This sounds interesting, and it's this sort of yeah. It's just I don't know. It's a very I don't really get a sense for time out of that. This is of course something very specific to my own musical language, I guess. So this is where I could obviously be wrong and other people would see this differently. Though there's so little to base this on with this, that it really just seems, it just really feels like this base, this again, it's like this foundation. So this being a finished, I assume, release for a finished track for your release, which is coming up. I think it's really, I think it's lacking in a lot of places, especially in the storytelling. It's not really telling anything. And you can tell a lot with just music without any lyrics. So it's a bit difficult. It's I don't really know what to say. I really don't know what to say to this. It's again, I'm comparing to the first track because it's pretty much equal levels of emptiness. That sounds a bit harsh, but that's what it feels like. There isn't really, yeah, it's just missing these parts. Now I know that's pretty terrible feedback, but the issue is there isn't really much to give feedback on. We could talk about the mixing, we could talk about the master, and like how do the instruments work together, the sounds and stuff like that. And even then you'd quickly run into issues where it's like, well, you can't really go wrong with any of that if there isn't so much of that either. So really it's just a super safe, super smooth down sort of thing. Yeah, it's very much like background music. I could see this play in the background for like a YouTube video where someone's talking about a topic and they have like a radio sounding kind of voice with in terms of how direct it is, and they may be talking about like any like topic. Maybe they're reviewing a movie or looking at something, and in the background you hear this play. It's really inoffensive. It doesn't really go too much in the front. So it's really. It really seems to me like functional music, meaning it's not. So there's in a way there's two distinctions of music. There's absolute music, which is music that is made to be listened to, and then you have functional music, which is music that serves another purpose, or really shines within use of that purpose. Now that's where I feel this is. It seems like functional music that on its own doesn't really do much. But that's not a bad thing.
What if, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Lil Terrestrial didn't leave us a note. What if Lil Terrestrial said, hey, I made a functional piece of music, what do you think of it? You would say, okay, does it work?
I'm missing the context. I would say I'm missing the context.
Missing the context, right.
And this is a Spotify release, so this is supposed to be absolute music, I'm guessing. And for that, it is missing its own context. Right. So yeah. Anyway, I'm at 5.5 minutes right now, so I've went overtime again. But I was rambling for a bit. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, it's difficult for me to talk about this because, you know, it's your release. You care about it, obviously, because you wouldn't release it if you hate it. I hope. So I'm a bit torn. I want to tell you a couple of useful things to improve this, and to fix it for the release, though you probably have already submitted it. to the distributor, so that's probably too late anyway. But really, all I can tell you is, well, maybe maybe you should do more with your music. But it's your style, and it probably works for some people for some purpose. Though I really don't see this as being this, listening experience to people. Maybe it is. I don't know. I might be completely wrong with that. Anyway, yeah, way too long again. But so,
you guys, I had a rant and then went another one, but no, I love it. All right, I think we should pass it to Radium though.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. All right, so Radium, what did you think?
Honestly, my feedback gonna be pretty much just like Play Ubs. There's nothing much to say because there's nothing much going on in the song. I don't know. I feel like I say it all the time, but I kind of want to put the emphasis on the one here is saying the song sucks. The other one, like I don't know, like get it through your skull. No one is saying the song is bad or sucks. It's just like there's nothing much going on in it. And again, I guess it depends what the purpose of the track is. Let's say if I speak in let's say I speak in a very music industry way, it's not a track or a song you release as like the commercial single of your album. It's more like it's the filler. That's the way I hear it. Doesn't mean it's bad, but I guess there's just not much going on in the song itself. So yeah, there's nothing much to say. It's kind of disappointing, I know, but yeah.
Definitely great feedback. I would say though, when we give that kind of feedback, what I want to try to do is, okay, yeah, there's not a lot going on here, and then just to everyone, just general feedback on how can you, if you had a track and you didn't have a lot and you thought about your own track, you're like, okay, I don't got a lot going on here. How would you go about as a producer to add more to your track? And you can think of, there's always something to say to our people submitting tracks to us. And I would say I would totally agree with both Blay and Radium that there's not a lot going on here. If it's meant for an instrumental lo-fi playlist or an instrumental study beat playlist or something like that, then you're happy with it. But ultimately, it's not a lot going on here. And I would agree with, I think we all three agree with that. But as a producer, I would say if there's not a lot going on in your track and you want to add more to your track, try to play an instrument on top of it or something. Try to make a lead. Try to give it some life. Time Jumper is a great title, but it didn't, like Blay was saying, did not, nothing in the track said Time Jumper. Yeah, nothing felt like Time Jumper. So definitely try to tell a story like Blay's always talking about. Add more to the track in context. It doesn't always have to, you can still be a minimalist. You can still make a minimal track, but there has to be something else there. It has to be something for people to grab on to and hold on to. So I think that's what you're missing. So just maybe play some improv over it, some lead, or add a little vocal or some context, a little storytelling or something. Who knows? But I think we pass it to the next track. What do you think, Bob?
All right. Yeah. Our next submission, our third submission for today, is going to be The Numbing of My Sanity by, and I'm going to butcher this name, I don't know how to pronounce it, by ABSIDEON or ABSIDEON or ABSIDEON. I don't know. Anyway.
I'm hoping for some metal music.
Is. All right. Nice. Have fun. All right, say that was The Numbing of My Sanity by ABSIDEON. Is that correct? ABSIDEON? I think that's the worst.
That's how the phonics were, I think, yes.
All right. Anyway, ABSIDEON did leave us a note, which goes as follows. This song is a metal song and is the second single for my album Confusion, which coming out very soon. This is definitely one of my heavier songs and one of my favorites. All right. So, yes, what did you guys think? What did you think, Guild?
Okay, I mean, so ABSIDEON. Oh, now I'm getting it messed up. ABSIDEON said in the chat, I was asking, do y'all like metal? And I said, I like to listen to it. And I want you to know, I mean, I do. I love metal. I mean, people say this all the time, oh, I listen to every kind of music. But I do listen to all kind of music. But if you want to know the kind of music I actually like love to listen to, it's definitely metal is one of those genres. And I love double bass and the snare. I love blast beats with the snares and double bass pedals, but that's only good if the guitar players and everything else is playing what they're supposed to play too. You know, proper riffs, and I love metal. I love instrumental metal too. I used to play in bands. I never played in a metal band. I played in punk rock bands, but it was still like it was upbeat, like kind of beats, and just chunky power chords and stuff. So I love it, and then when I hear it, I feel for it. I mean, I really feel it. You know, it makes me want to play. It's interesting to see everybody's comment on metal because metal used to just be so generic and so everywhere. I'm older, as people know, so I've listened to, you know, they didn't have EDM wasn't that big back when I was growing up. It was metal, you know, metal and rock were the big thing. You know, I mean, there was people listening to rap, and then there was some like techno, but techno wasn't cool. It was rock, you know, it was all about the rock. And I lived through the phase of new metal, which was Korn and Disturbed and Linkin Park and all those bands, which now are just kind of corny and cheesy in their own way. But what's interesting about metal and rock is it's coming back. It really is in its own way. The main thing that's coming back is the guitar. Guitar is it's having a revival. There will be a revival of the guitar, and I think it's already found its way in some electronic, even dubstep and stuff are using metal guitar and everything. Hip hop started using acoustic guitar heavily, and I think EDM is going to use electric guitar heavily. But that's EDM. What I like about this is refreshing. This is an actual metal song. It does sound very programmed, which metal should sound like a band. Metal should be a band, I think, playing it, and that's subjective. And we live in a new time where, you know, you can blend the lines and blur the lines, where it's like you can produce a metal song in your room by yourself and say, hey, this is my metal song. But what's the illusion is that an old school person like me, again, is going to be like, where's the band? You know, a metal, where's the drummer, a guitar player, a bass player, a lead player, a singer? It's a band, right? No, it's going to get to a point where, you know, EDM is going to sound like metal and metal's going to sound EDM. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, just listen to this made me want to program a double bass drum pattern like that and then make a psytrance track out of it or something. You know, like it's there's no wrong thing when it comes to making music. As long as it sounds good at the end and people enjoy it, someone enjoys it. It's a piece of music, it's a piece of art. So I really enjoyed this. Now, just a little bit more feedback, technical feedback. I don't think the mix here was just too in a box. Like, it didn't sound wide. Like, I'll speak fast and I'll hit my 3 minutes. But a trick I've been using, because I'm putting guitar in some of my latest tracks, is if you are programming it, no, guitars are real. Yeah, the guitars are real. I thought the guitars are real. It sounded like the drums were programmed. Guitars are real. That's what's good. You want to still layer it up. Yeah, the drums were programmed. The guitars were real. It sounded like the guitars were pretty real because it didn't have too much of the machine gun effect, is what it's called when you do like with a sample or something. It's too perfect. You can tell that it was real. But what you still want to do?
Last week.
Shotgun effect. This is a blast. It spreads. Yeah. No, I mean, but what I would say though, as a trick, it's again, it's just a trick to, if you want to make it sound wider and more studio quality. Because again, I mean, just to refer to an old school band, Metallica, they're Black on their biggest album. They talked about how they used all kind of studio tricks to make it sound as good as it did. And I'm talking about they recorded it slower at a lower pitch, so when they sped it up, all the distortion got really tight. They also layered many guitars on top of it, like really layered the guitars up. But they did it so well, it just sounds like a couple guitars still, but the sound is super thick. And what you do is you spread it out. You put a different guitar on the left, a guitar on the right, a different guitar kind of in the middle, and it's like different, far right, far left, and I've even seen people split up the strings. If you really want to get, I want to recommend that, but you can even like record each string separately, layer them back on top of each other, and really get a studio quality mix. That's if you want to go that direction. Remember, you got to reperform it live, and if it doesn't sound the same live, you might disappoint some people. But anyways, you could really do some fun stuff with guitar, and I look forward to the day that more people use guitar instead of supersaws and all this music we listen to. So anyways, I'll pass it over to Blair.
All right, so yes, the numbing of my sanity. I'm always excited when we get different genres or just completely like different styles as a whole to the submissions, which is not like EDM or electronic or whatever. It's always very similar. So this was really refreshing. I do like some metal. I'm definitely the kind of person to not really care about genre, though there's definitely stuff I really don't like in general. Pop. But
Your mic popped. What was that?
pop. Nothing.
Oh,
Nothing. I
pop.
was just coughing.
Pop.
I didn't say anything. No, but no, I thought in terms of the track itself, it was nice. I would have expected vocals, especially since you mentioned it's a song. And probably I'm gonna guess that you're going to have a singer of some kind doing stuff. Maybe even the very stylistic and typical what's it called? It's not screaming or growl. I don't know. But I was expecting something like that. It would fit definitely. I think.
Yeah.
Though I don't know if this is. I don't know if it could really stand entirely on its own. I think for that I'd like a very a more complex melodic line in this. That would be really nice. Actually, that would be nice in general. But yeah, I want to get to one thing. So and I'm gonna pull up the picture that everyone should be afraid of again. In this case, because this is track number 3. Yeah. It's pretty obvious. I mean, this is a bit... I mean, Mira was complaining. So, heads up warning. You're not seeing any actual measurements in this screenshot. That's not really what this is meant for. I'm just, as a general, look at it and you can sort of see... there may be some issues if your track has a straight line, if your waveform has a straight line at the bottom there. There really is no dynamics in your track. It's the middle track, track number 3.
Right.
There's no dynamics. It's just pushed to the ceiling. There's no mastering going on, and you could hear it. There were no dynamics. Then sometimes when things got a bit quieter, the hi-hat, for example, not the hi-hat, the crash cymbal could, fill out the space, and it did. It tried to. And it sounded really awful. I'm sorry. It sounded really awful. If you want distortion, I guess you try to get it that way. That's not the right way. No, there's you can do, okay, so it's the easiest way is with plugins. There's distortion plugins that you can use. But of course there's other stuff. You can, stuff that people like to do a lot, which is actually use tape. So if you use like a looping tape, not a looping tape, but if you record onto tape, you can saturate tape and it'll add really warm distortion without actually clipping. Then if you record it back and add a quieter volume, of course, that's the way people often did this. But there's other methods. I don't really know too much about it because that's not really anything I'd normally work with.
Pedal is just mainly about the distortion pedals and distortions you put on your guitars. You don't need to clip it at all.
Yeah. For metal, exactly. Yeah. But this to me looks like they tried to get a general distortion over the entire thing. That's sort of what it looks like
Right.
to me. Some sort of general you know raspiness to the entire track. I think. I mean, I don't know. That's what it looks like to me. That looks sort of like the symptom of what that would cause. But this is not the right way to do it, because this way you're getting actual clipping, so actual digital clipping, and which is really not good, especially for your dynamics.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a limiter on that. Yeah, someone was saying that they think the side chaining is a bit too extreme. But I don't think there was
It's probably
actually
because of
any
this.
actual intentional side chaining. I think this was just a struggling limiter in the end. Yeah.
Fourth track looks pretty good, honestly. That second track definitely doesn't look mastered at all. The fourth track for an EDM track looks good because it's supposed to be, but it looks like it was hard
Right, yeah.
clipped still. They lowered it.
Yeah, the second
then,
second track, which is actually the one that's going to Spotify, doesn't look mastered at all,
Right, doesn't
which is
master all the
unfortunate.
peaks.
Sorry, Lil Terrestrial, maybe you want to work on that.
Yeah.
The third one isn't mastered either. It's just pushed to the ceiling in the DAW, so it's not a true peak seating or anything. Then yeah, fourth track, that's probably fine. Yeah, it looks fine.
Looks like a SoundCloud track when you're going down. But again, this is a
Yeah,
metal song. But that
looks like
track
something
looks like
I'd be
an
annoyed
EDM
by because I
soundtrack.
want more dynamics. But yeah. Anyway, getting off track again, I guess. Yeah, you should work on that.
Learning,
And ABSIDEON, there's, if you go on our YouTube channel and scroll to the very bottom, there's a playlist called MPA Must Watch Music and Video Recommendations. The first video in that playlist is called The Future of Mastering: Loudness in the Age of Music Streaming. I recommend you and everyone else who's watching this to watch that video, which is talking about a bunch of really important things that you should keep in mind when working with music, digital music, and distribution, of course. There's a lot of things to pay attention to look out for, and yeah, I think musically your track is. Yeah, I think musically your track is definitely really interesting. It is I'd say pretty typical for this style of music, which, you know, it is what it is. I'd always like people to, push the boundaries of what's been there and what's being done, and not necessarily push the boundaries. You don't have to push the boundaries, but you can at least explore what's been there. There's so much to explore. But of course, it seems like this is a more simple track of the album, so it's totally fine for that. Yeah, but definitely, before you release this or anything, definitely read up about what true peak is. Read up about mastering standards, especially EBU R128 is the one you should probably look out for the most, because it's pretty common. And you should look at LUFS meters and what that means and how to work with them, because that is essential for what any musician in the digital age of music is doing, unless you're working with an audio engineer who's going to master or maybe even mix and master your track. I definitely recommend you to read up on that, and there's also probably YouTube channels and videos you could look at specifically focused around metal. They could tell you a bit more about this idea about distortion and what's sort of desirable there. Also, one last thing I want to mention. So the drums, they're most obviously sampled and programmed, especially the crash cymbal, the splash cymbal. I don't know. It's super obvious. It doesn't even have. I think it has 2 round robin layers. I think I heard two layers. Maybe just one. I don't remember. Yeah, get a different pack. If you want to go sample, get a different pack. Because that is very obvious.
Get one of those. I mean, it's not free, but save up for it. You might be able to find a free version. Steven Slate has a free one. I don't know if what you're using, but Steven Slate has a free one. But get some of those drum. Oh, by the way, Radium said Skipper. She doesn't like metal, and she didn't really get anything out of this track, and she's busy with her thing. So I want everyone to know that we're not skipping her or talking over on purpose. She told us to do that. So I would just say, look into some of those virtual drum kits, not just individual samples. They're kits that are designed to sound like a real kit. You can move the microphones around. You want overhead bleeding. You want all that stuff. You want that round robin stuff Blay was talking about a couple streams ago. You want samples not to trigger like a machine gun, and you want to make it sound more real. I recommend getting a drummer to help you, because I had a drummer friend.
Oh, yes.
I took my drums, and they taught me so much so quick with just looking at my simple pattern. They were like, oh, you should do this, this, this. All these little ghost notes and all this stuff that just made it come alive.
And even just watching videos of drummers, maybe even solo performances of drummers, can teach you a lot. And, if you have a band, I don't know if you have a band or what this really is for, what this whole thing is, get a drummer. Get someone to actually play the drums. Because, you should probably get that at some point. And actually, you know what? I may actually suggest to take a look at Fiverr, because there may be a drummer there who's offering like really cheap, quick tracking of this with drums. That may do a lot for you, actually. Fiverr it's difficult, but for something like this, it might actually be useful. Just make sure to get a commercial license if you're going to distribute it, or just find someone local or online even. Just try to find people to collab with.
A local band or learn it.
Yeah,
stuff,
I think a lot of people are scared of asking musicians to do things for them. But you shouldn't, because maybe you think, oh, I'm no one or super few people really know what I'm doing, and maybe others just want to collab with bigger producers or composers or whatever. But there's people just like you who are looking to sort of support each other just like you are. So you may find someone who's in the same situation as you, and you could, start something together. So there's often a lot of opportunity to do something really great that way, and not even having to spend really expensive studio sessions, At some point, you're going to have to do that. But for now, you could get away with a really cheap drum kit with a drummer who's, getting more experience, definitely, but, is, got some skill. You could find people, probably. I'd take a look at Fiverr. It's paid, sure, but I don't know, maybe there's like a $20 gig.
You can get some samples, then you can piece those samples, not samples, but loops and actual like riffs, and then maybe piece those together and still get your own song. You figured like going on Fiverr to make a song, and then all of a sudden you got like someone on your song that's like not even, you don't really know them personally. I don't recommend that if it's a personal piece of art, because it's like, who is that guy that just got on your track, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is my song, and this random guy from Fiverr did the drum beat.
Yeah, when working with musicians, you should find the right people to do this. But I think listening to this, I think anything human is going to be better than something so impersonal as programmed drums. Anything is going to be better than that.
I agree.
So that's why. Honestly, that's the only
talented player.
That's the only reason why I'm suggesting Fiverr in this case, because Fiverr is really impersonal. I mean, I have a gig on Fiverr too, and I deliver work with passion, with hard work into it. But there's people like that. You may find the right person on there. It's a likely possibility.
You can become friends with them, and then you work together on multiple songs. I'm just saying.
Yeah, totally.
Anyways,
but I think anything is going to be better, unless they really suck. But anything that doesn't suck is going to be better than robotic drums like that. Anyway, that's pretty obvious now what I mean. If you're trying to learn how to play the drums, that's great.
Get a drum kit or an electric drum kit at least.
Electric drum kit is the same issue as before again.
Yeah, you got the samples. You're right. You're totally right.
It loses so much. Now, I wouldn't. Okay, And honestly,
They got-
the cost benefit is minimal. If you can get a used kit, or maybe if you, I like suggesting going to like a music school and learning there, because they do offer resources. But if you're a musician, you need to have your own instruments. So yeah, that's a dumb suggestion. Forget what I was getting at, but.
It'd be cool though if you could play all the instruments in the band, even do the vocals, because there's bands like that. You could write all the songs and then put a band together later. You're like, hey, I wrote all these songs.
Yeah.
Now,
you gotta do it. You gotta be able to do it all
Yeah.
nowadays. It's great to have many skills. Anyway, I think we should move on. This was a very long thing, but there was much to talk about.
Metal.
I think that's part of when tracks have something to offer, you can actually start to talk about them. Jeez, I'm roasting the first 2 tracks. I'm sorry, guys. That's not exactly how I meant it, but also kind of.
It's just, it's because a lot of things have already been said by us, so we don't like repeating ourselves all the time. But this was new. This was refreshing. It's refreshing to hear the metal.
It's just a different style. There's more to talk about that we didn't talk about before, because there's a lot of things we repeat, and there's a lot of things I didn't say about the other two ones at the start, because there's so many things we already did say. But this is relatively uncommon for any of the streams. I think we only had, including this one, I think we only had like 2 or 3 other metal songs or tracks on the stream before. So there really is so much for us to say and uncover and talk about. So that is the reason. And yeah, I think we should move on before I say any worse things. And our next submission is going to be Stranger Shubverse by Shubverse. Bit confusing title. Anyway, have fun.
Stranger than love, it's my heart. Stranger than love is the thought that it be so hard.
All right, so that was Stranger Shubverse by Shubverse. I don't understand the title. Anyway,
Self-titled.
right.
No, it's just names in the title also.
Yeah. Stranger.
Okay.
Is it like Stranger by Shubverse by Shubverse? That's...
Originally, when you said it, I thought you meant this title was Stranger Subverse, like a a stranger version of Subverse's music. But no, I think it's just the title.
I don't. It's
Anyways.
confusing. Anyway,
think we spent some time
Shubverse
on
did
this
leave us a
stuff.
note. Maybe it's explained there. Wait, I don't think it is. Anyway, the note goes as follows. This is my first finished track with my new funk EDM style. My main concern is the arrangement originality. Oh, we're gonna talk about that. As well as the mix. Shubverse. Alright, Guild, so what did you think?
I guess I'll, I mean, I enjoyed the track actually, and I think, okay, well, this is a known thing. It's just like everyone knows that if a genre of music that you don't listen to a lot or like a lot, everyone says the same thing about everything. All that music sounds the same. You can say that about country if you don't listen to country just sounds the same. Classical music, people say that about classical music all the time. It all sounds the same, even though it doesn't at all. If you listen to classical music,
I'm fuming.
it's all different. It's all different. But from a perspective of just all that, people say that about electronic music all the time. They all say it all sounds the same. It's the people that enjoy electronic and only electronic, they hear the differences between all the artists. So I will definitely say this was a unique sound with a funk that you had to it. I don't hear a lot of that. It reminded me of a producer named Savant. That Savant has a lot of albums. Some of the albums are just trash and some of them are really good and some of the songs are all right, but it's just the guy is a savant. He puts out a lot of music. But anyways, he has some tracks like this. I really liked it, although I still think it wasn't like a 5-star track or anything. I think it still needed a lot of work. I just liked the funk that it had to it. I'm putting funk in kind of quotations because it wasn't like a funk song. It was just it had a little funky thing in there, so you called it funk. It just it had a little, some of the sounds, I guess you were using the synth, a little classic synth, little stabs, kind of gave it a funk sound. But really what it was, it was kind of a minimal track. That bass was mainly the main thing. I would say that, yeah, it's been done before, not just like this, but it's not a new sound. You'll find some artists like this on the Monster Cat label and stuff like that. But I would say try to find some other that have done it a little bit more, and what you'll realize is it is a lot more going on in some of those kind of songs. I would even recommend listening to one of our own members, Retrograde's music, if you want to get how to add a lot more complexity to your tracks in this kind of genre, because there wasn't enough happening here to really catch and like make it sound like, oh, this one, I'm throw this is awesome, this next big hit. It was more just like, oh, okay, cool, another jam. Nothing really new. And that exciting. It was just, to me, listening to a lot of the stuff I hear lately, it was a little different than what I've been listening to lately. It's not but I don't know. I guess I'm trying to just, it has been done before, definitely. It's just, that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, sometimes people are like, okay, I'm trying to make this style of track. I want to know if I can make this style of track. And if when you accomplish your track, you're like, okay, cool, I made this style of track. Yeah, it's been done before, but look, now here's my version of it. And you're going to find that all through music. But then there's the kind of motivation that me and Blay and stuff are always trying to give is just be someone that makes a new sound. Be someone that makes a new trend. Be someone that makes something that's never been done before. Create a path where there's not already a path. We're just such listeners of music. We get bored and we want new stuff to listen to. But so you got to ask yourself, are you trying to make something new and never been heard before? Or are you just trying to make something that, a DJ can play in his set or whatever? So I would say it's a real safe track, real simple. I actually think it was one of the better mixes we heard today, but I do think the bass is not mixed right. It's too loud. I think the bass is just a little too loud. Remember, the bass is going to be felt more than it starts. So the lows, you can have a little high-end saturation can be louder, but the low sub itself, it's going to be felt more than heard. So just make sure you don't have that too loud in relation to the other stuff. you might have that set right and everything else might be too quiet. But remember, the bass is low. You don't, and it almost goes for volume too. It's down there like low. Make a bright mix where all the high frequencies are up high and loud and in your face, and mid frequencies are all warm, tickling your body, and the lows are just down there vibrating the floor. They don't need a beat, even in bass music, believe it or not. Bass music, the bass, yeah, it is loud, but you'll realize it's all mid and high frequencies just on the bass, distorted bass. So you want to make it bright, you want to make it loud, and not use the bass to do it. But anyways, I'll pass it to Blay. I think I hit my 3 minutes a couple of minutes ago. What do you think, Blay?
Yeah, like 1 minute. It's not good. I could set time limit. I mean, I've been talking for 15 minutes before, so
It helps.
Right, no. All right, yeah. Sorry about the noise. I'm moving my mic boom. Geez, there's so many things I want to say. First off, because that's the thing that's on my mind the most right now, your logo. So I see the S, I see the H, I know what the U is supposed to be and the B. But also, all these ornaments and these scribbles and stuff, the H could be a B, a strange B, but it could be a B. Or the U could be an I and a J, so this could also be Spijb. Spijb. It could be Spijb. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Okay, talk about music now. I think I'm willing to agree that this is not entirely... I'm going to agree that this is not totally the sort of cliche EDM thing. It's a bit more unique. But then again, that itself has been done a lot of times, I think. I've heard a lot of tracks like this. A lot of tracks. And I don't go out looking for EDM. So, yeah, if I hear a lot of that, if I feel a bit oversaturated by that, it's pretty mainstream. Not that there's anything wrong necessarily with mainstream. But usually when I'm talking about it in this sense, then that means that there's a clear cliche. And I'm not talking about a trope, but I'm talking about an actual cliche and a clear line that is not being crossed. And I feel in this, case again, it is in this very narrow space of where this specific type of EDM is sort of set. And one thing all of this has in common is that there's musically not so many ideas. In this case, again, it is very stylized in terms of the bit more funky rhythms, and there's some of these. Actually, while listening to it, there were some things in there where I felt more like a bit of funky disco. But it's the sound effect kind of thing, and there isn't really musically, there isn't so much going on again. And I really think what EDM is missing out on the most is harmonic complexity and melodic complexity, and also rhythmic complexity. It's really, a lot of EDM today is really straightforward, really safe, playing it safe, and really polished, and polished not in the good sense, but polished flat to flatness to appeal to the broadest audience possible. I think that's super lame and super boring. And I think that's what I hear most people on our community doing, and a lot of young people and middle-aged people too. There's just a lot of people doing it that way. And I think it has to do with what is far up in the market. And it is this very, very uninspired, blank page kind of thing that opens up for anyone to see anything in it. It is very much a marketing thing. It is very much done so for the same reasons that that the movie industry is struggling with. It's not struggling. So the art that is being made by the film industry is struggling, the artistry. But the film industry itself isn't struggling. They're making a lot of money this way, a lot of money. And that's the same issue with music. It is marketing. That's all that counts. And it is obvious in the way that music changes with how music is being consumed online. I saw a video recently. I think it might actually be within the video that I recommended earlier in our playlist. But there's a trend that with more current streaming, the way people consume music nowadays, you can see a shift in the structure of music, where the chorus of a track is moved to further to the beginning of the track, so you grab people's attention quicker and they stay and listen to it. So there isn't this build-up, but you go right into the money shot, basically, is what you would call it in a movie. There's like the money shot that goes into trailers. It's the big, grand shot with the beautiful sunrise and the big explosion. That's the money shot. That's the shot that's, in some cases, made only for the trailer. Or sometimes there's a movie that you watch and there's a scene and you go, oh yeah, that's the trailer shot. That's the money shot. It's the same with music. So the music is restructuring based on how people are consuming music, which happens based on how the streaming platforms are offering the music. So it's a very psychological, societal thing. And it clearly shows that that this music is trying to pander to that, which it's totally fine, of course, to an extent, of course. But I think where it ends for me is when it directly influences artistic decisions, or rather, if a music is lacking artistic decisions and they are marketing decisions only, and that is usually what's happening. And what's interesting is that this is being done by this big money sort of inner circle of people. So it's really starting to happen in these very, very cliche and as broad as possible and as inoffensive as possible wide releases. They start doing this, and then you see other people trying to emulate that. So they are really really what a lot of people are doing is they are I like to compare it to, it's a bit mean, but it's supposed to be provocative. So you think for yourself and think, what am I doing? And am I doing this? What I see a lot of these people do is, and I brought up this example to Guild earlier while we were listening, is that I start to think of kids playing in a pretend supermarket. You know, they have their like cash register and plastic fruits and stuff like that, and they pretend to own a store, own a shop, and sell stuff. You know, it's a pretend game, and I feel that's sort of the same thing that's happening with a lot of music. As people play this pretend game, they get they listen to this music all their life. Maybe they didn't hear anything else, so that's what they're really used to, and they start to pretend to make that music as well. Here's the thing. They are actually doing it. So why aren't they succeeding? I think a track like this is very close to the quality of high-selling music. So why isn't it? There's only one reason. The lack of marketing and the lack of being in this inner circle of the self-promotional industry of music production. Not music production, of music, of the music market. That is everything that is missing. You need to succeed. You need this marketing. You need this front cover model, basically. You need a person's name to sell it under. So, I don't know, Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, Selena Gomez, or Shakira. You need this cover.
Okay. Your references are old.
Yeah, there's the first names that came to mind. I don't know, Billie Eilish. Or grab Lil Nas X or whatever, for a bit more modern examples. The music is basic as fuck. I'm I just died. I just lost all my money that I was ever gonna make anyway. The music
Well,
is
I hope
the music is
gotta save
really,
some topics for
really
our future episodes.
the music is really, really basic. But that's not what it's about. That's what I'm trying to keep telling people. The music industry is not about music. It's about the industry. It's about the money. That's what it's about.
That is totally true, and I think that needs to be told. But I think a lot of people get that too. It's the Billboard game. It's the game. It's the charts. A lot of people don't get that at first when they're young. So definitely listen to what Blaze's saying. But we don't. I mean, it's once you realize that, you can say, okay, there's many jobs I can get in the industry that will play right into that.
But to actually get to what I want to say,
Radium, I feel bad that we are not.
I just want to get to the point of what I was actually saying, because I feel like I should probably not end this in the middle of what I'm trying to communicate. Because the reason why I'm saying all this is you should ask yourself the question, what role you want to play in this world and in your life. What do you want to do? Do you want to play the pretend game? Do you want to maybe slither into this industry where it's really not about your artistic decision? It's not about you. It's not about the music. It's not about your expression. It's really not. Anyone who says that it is lying. It's part of the marketing. Here's the decision you have to make. Do you comply with that? Do you do that? Do you play this game of pure luck? Do you play this game of complying to studio will? Do you want to play this game of dying art and dying artists? Or do you find yourself a niche and make actual expressive music that gives you the ability to tell your stories? And I think that is much more desirable. It's going to make it's going to way less money, but it may leave the actual biggest impact. Because all we're seeing in the music industry is temporary. It's temporary. And we know that by looking at all the one-hit wonders that just die off. Why is it like that? Because they serve one purpose, making money for the studio. And then they're gone. If they sucked out all the potential they had, it's up to the next guy. And that's how it goes. We're seeing, and it seems like there's people that are still so relevant and stuff, but really they're not. You know, if you're looking at stuff, and I'm gonna bring a classical music example. Oh, how dare I? But if we look at people like Bach, for example, they're still important today. They died so long ago, 300 years ago. That's music that was made 300 years ago, over 300 years ago. That is relevance because it did leave an impact. It changed people. It changed societies, and that is an impact you're only going to leave if you ditch this money stuff. It really isn't what it should be about. You know, I'd be so happy to, of course, make a living with my music, but I don't need to be a millionaire. What I'd much rather do is leave an impact for future generations. If in 100 years, in 200 years, in 1,000 years, people go and say, this music did leave an impact, this music changed me, changed my life decision. Maybe this music changed the course of decisions made and it changed the outcome of whatever. That's great. That's what art should be about. It should be about telling stories. It should be about communicating emotions. That's what music is. It's a storytelling medium. But it's being abused and it's being used for making money. It's really sad, and I wish everyone would see it, because everyone would decide against that, obviously. So, yeah, gonna end my rant here. This was 13 minutes and 28 seconds of rambling rant, but I hope I may have opened some eyes. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Make art, people, not money. You can live off making art. You just won't be a millionaire unless you get super lucky. It can happen. But make art. It's much more important. It has a much greater worth, an actual worth than money will ever have, because money is fictional. Okay. Radium, did you want to say anything?
Yes. I'm here to make money. Wow. I forgot it. Wait. Okay. uh Shubverse. I think it's pronounced, yes. Shubverse. Uh yeah. It's so weird to come back to a feedback after like a 15 minutes long rant on music industry. Um I'll keep it very, 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 very short. Uh your track is good. Like, but I feel like it's good in the context. It'd be good for the radio. It'd be good if I were like a club promoter looking for an artist for my Tuesday nights. It'd be good too. Uh, if you were the chain smokers, it'd be good too. But I'm guessing, I mean, then again, it depends on what you want to do with your heart. But if you were more like an artist trying to like pierce, that track alone probably wouldn't do well. Like you need more. And yes, I get it. Industry, marketing, blah blah blah. But I do feel like maybe you can dip into your artistry and find either something that's gonna make you stand out, do something that's gonna make you stand out. So it's not advice related to the track because to me, I don't think there's any. I mean, it's a basic EDM track. You know, the stuff on the radio, the stuff at the clubs that you don't really focus on. But I'm guessing now maybe it's time to see what you want to do with your music, with your art. And if you want to make money, it's all good and fine. Go make your money. But yeah, I guess it's time maybe sit down and ask yourself what you want to do with your music, where you want to go with it. I'm not saying I haven't planned it out, but definitely like have an idea, because I feel like if you have an idea, it can definitely help you improve and make something new with your music, which I think you're ready to do. Or you can keep doing like club music and make bank of club music. So that was Radio's advice for your track.
All right. Right. Let's move on to our final submission of the day. Sorry for the rant again, but I think it's really important to mention this every now and then. In other words, every single stream. No. Anyway, our final submission for today is going to be Escape by Kitsune Power. Have fun.
time when we'll cast our fear aside. Yeah, we can escape. Yeah, we can escape. Just close your eyes and think of a time when we'll cast our fear aside. Yeah, we can escape. Now we're gonna escape. Now we're gonna escape. Now we're gonna escape. Now we're gonna escape.
All right, so that was Escape by Kitsune Power. Don't worry, you can see the time indicator is still running, but that's because Kitsune left, I think, 20 or 30 seconds of silence at the end. Nice.
Epic.
It's like 10 seconds. 10 seconds of silence. Anyway, a bit confusing. It caught me off guard. Anyway, Kitsune did leave us a message. Everyone did leave us a message today, a note. Well, it's really great. I love notes. Anyway, so Kitsune's note goes as follows. I'm back, boys. Anyways, this is one of my whips that I worked on in my absence. Alright, so what did you think, Guild?
Definitely think it's give you props for doing your own vocals. Tell that the auto-tune is correcting a lot of it. There's not a lot of like soul in your vocals. I would add a little bit more like singing like abilities.
I would add a
throughout
little
the
bit more
song.
singing abilities.
Yeah, instead of just like some, because it sounds like more like some samples that you chopped up and played with. Like you recorded some samples basically with your vocals and then you chopped up instead of like doing more of performance. And why I say that is because right when your vocals first said "Never Gonna Escape," there was no lead up to that. They just came in and said that, and then it stopped for a while. And then you brought it back in, you played around with them for a little bit. But just having that one little word in there, you don't get a sense of a vocalist. You just get a sense of a vocal sample. So I would do some more singing, some actual singing and stuff. And then you can auto tune for some effects and stuff. I like the chilled style. What I want to hear in this is a neat guitar. I think it'd be really cool if you had like vocals and a lead guitar going on. Another old band, even before my time, but like Prince, if you're familiar with Prince and Prince's music, his guitars were like guitar lead solos were like magical, and they would just kind of come out of nowhere. He's just like, oh wait, Prince is playing the guitar now, and a song like this, and then he would sing. And so I just think, again, that's even before my time. But if you go back and listen to some of that stuff, it give you a lot of ideas on what you can do with a song like this. Really add some soul to it. You could keep this EDM sound that you got, but you can actually make it more of a band. Listen to another Empire of the Sun. What is that band? What's that band? Is it Empire of the Sun? I don't know. No, that's like. Anyways, I'll think of it here in a second. But there's some neat groups that came out that kind of have an EDM sound, but they're actually a band, just kind of playing like a pop straight forward to the floor. But they got riffs, guitar riffs and all the. Other things. I mean, I wish I could think of the name of that band. But anyways, I would say just try to make it a little bit more like keep all the same like composition, but make it more like a band. Like I don't know, make the drums a little bit more live. You can add some little like incidental like reverse like rides and hats in there to kind of add like essentially what would be the drummer like fumbling between symbols, not just the two symbols themselves, but kind of like, the ghost notes are important. You want to add ghost notes and variety, just kind of make it sound a little more in this sense, a little bit more rock pop, I guess you could say, an indie pop, indie rock in a sense. I get that vibe. I know it's not even like that, but I would add something like that to this. I think it'd be a good direction to take this. But it was really fun to hear. Like I said, do more with the vocals. Bring them in earlier. Don't just all of a sudden say never gonna escape. It's just kind of not fit. You want to kind of like let people know this is a singer in this track, from the beginning. All right. Thanks for submitting. And if I think of that band, I'll send you. I'll DM you. All right, Billy, what do you think?
All right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can do with humanization, of course, when working with electronic instruments, virtual instruments, and anything like that. Also, I'm a bit confused. It didn't really feel like a song per se, so it was more like a track with some like vocal bits here and there. So I didn't really take it as like a song. There weren't really any lyrics either. It wasn't like poetry or anything. But yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk too much about the actual music. I think I think my 15-minute rant applies here as well. So I'm not gonna repeat that, of course. But I will say though that the vocals, they do need work, definitely. I know. Okay, I want to give you credits for actually recording your own vocals. I think that's great. I think it's so much better than using stupid packs. I hate packs. Absolutely hate packs. Despise them. They're so annoying. So so great on that. I think that's good. However, they do need improving. So I don't know if this is like a work print, like a work in progress. No, I think it's a work in progress. Yeah, it is. So you're probably gonna re-record that, I guess, or maybe hire someone else to sing it. Either way, I would go way back on the autotune stuff, or I don't know what you used, Melodyne, autotune, whatever you used. You used tuning, pitch correction though. So I would turn that down because it sounds so unnatural. And it goes beyond the like style thing. In a setting like this, I really don't see it as a stylistic thing. It's yeah, it doesn't really have much to do with cleanliness of cleanness of the vocals. It just sounds robotic, and at that point, you may as well use one of those what's it called? The synthetic voice generator stuff. What's it called? What are they called? Vocaloid. You may as well use that if you want a robotic effect. Or just push it away. What I'm saying, what I mean is, it sounds super robotic, but not far enough to be actual like stylistic. So it sounds just more like someone was singing. It wasn't perfect. They tried to fix it in post. It didn't work. So there's a lot of shakiness we can hear. The pitch correction is really struggling to keep up with that, especially at the ends or the endpoints of the notes. They're really shaky, and you can hear the typical annoying artifacts of pitch correction or too harsh correction. You may want to automate the correction intensity actually at the in and out points, so you have this more natural fall off, which then wouldn't do this this weird stuttery stuff. I just hit my my throat with my hand. Yeah, and if you then change the tone, it's sort of
human auto.
Yeah,
All
sort
right.
of. It's obviously not, but it's sort of simulating that. But yeah, I just re-record the vocals. I get more practice or hire someone to do it. Actually, no, yeah, I get more practice. I think you like singing, so yeah, I'd get more practice and definitely record more takes. Like it's not too awful, but just record more takes, get a broader selection of takes to choose from, and know that there's a lot you can do. You can trick the ears a lot with editing. So even when I record, sometimes you can splice together like 4 different takes within a matter of seconds. So like within like 6 or 7 seconds, I could have 5 different takes, and you can still trick if you do it, and if you do it smart, if you work it smart and do a good job of hiding it away, you can really fix things up. No, don't stop singing. I didn't say that. I said I would recommend you to get more practice before you record vocals, and then record more takes so you have a broader selection of things to choose from. I didn't say stop singing. I did say you could hire a different singer if that's what you want to do. But I would like it. I would actually like it if you kept singing, if you did practice more, got more stability in your voice, got a bit more power in your voice, and then just like really practice more, and do all the proper techniques, standing up while you're singing and stuff like that, breathing and stuff like that. Yeah, I did imply it. I said you could hire someone to record it, but then I said, and I can't go back, but later when it's safe, you can go back and listen to it again, because I said, no, actually, don't hire someone. I want you to sing. I did say that.
Right. You definitely say.
I definitely did say that.
I want to jump in here real quick because KP, I know we all know that. I mean, and don't take this the wrong way, but we definitely know you take our feedback really to heart. But I understand this is a feedback stream. You don't want us to just tell you that your track is perfect, right? Because this is a feedback stream, so we're telling you what we notice. And guess what? You're putting this track out for everyone to hear. We're not the only one that's going to think about your vocals that way. Everyone is. So it's really good to hear this from your friends and get better before you just start putting it out to the world thinking that it's like perfect. Because singing is hard, and best singers,
yeah,
they don't always get it. They're super talented. Singing is hard, and the singers that get praised are unbelievable singers. Doesn't mean you quit singing. It just means it's something that you're going to take for lots of practice.
There's a lot of room for improvement always, for anyone.
If you stop singing, you won't be practicing. So you got to keep practicing. You got to keep singing, and your tracks will just keep getting better. But you got to expect when you submit a track to the feedback stream that we're just being honest with you. We're not going to tell you something that's not true or not noticeable. And if we think it, we're just a small percentage. Doesn't mean everyone's going to think it, but we're a percentage of what a lot of people are going to think when they hear your track. So
and it's not like this is being nitpicky. This is very obvious and apparent. I think you should. I think you should take that to heart and listen to it again more critically, because I got a feeling when you say things like that, and you always do this, you're not being very critical of yourself, which is really unhealthy, actually. You shouldn't punish yourself and hate everything you do, but you should definitely be self-critical and analyze what you're putting out. That's what I do all the time. It's a constant cycle of working, looking back, analyzing, criticizing, and fixing things. If you do that, you can reach much higher quality. This, to me, seems like you record it, you think, good enough, whatever, and there's some autotune on it, and I can hear these obvious issues with that, and that's what I'm trying to reach you and your self-criticism, and trying to say, listen to that again, analyze it, and ask yourself, is this really at the level that it could be at? Because I really think you're not pushing far enough there. And I don't think it's hard to achieve that level that you could reach. Because you've had better vocal stuff before. So this isn't impossible for you to reach. And then going beyond that, it needs a bit more practice, of course. A general voice training, but of course then also practicing the song that you want to record itself for a bit before recording, and then recording multiple takes. I think this is something you should put more attention to. More effort should flow into that process, and it's really good to be self-critical. It's also really healthy to be self-confident, but it's a fine balance you need to hit. There's a really fine balance between being overconfident and being overcritical. You need to find the right balance. It's difficult. It may sway back and forth a bit, but I hope that whenever you're listening back to things, you think to yourself, what am I doing? Can I improve this? What is this really doing? And you have to be really analytical. You have to use your hearing. You have to use your ears. You have to listen to it, and you have to really analyze it and pick it apart and spot all the little mistakes.
I love that.
And these are very obvious mistakes to me. So this is stuff that I think should be easily identified, and then you should want to fix this. At least I'd hope so. So I recommend to do just that, to go back, to really analyze it again, to maybe even turn off your pitch correction, listen to it that way, and then think, maybe I could go into the pitch correction with a better start, then give the pitch correction an easier time, and then it won't sound so robotic. Because pitch correction is a bit misleading, because it doesn't really correct. It can regulate, but it doesn't fix. You know, it doesn't really correct for errors. It can dampen things, but it doesn't fix stuff. So if you go in with issues, you're going to go out with issues. They may be of a different nature, but they're still issues. So go in.
The only genre that worked for was mumble
Yeah.
rap. The only genre that worked for was mumble rap for a while. I just want to go a little far. If you just with what Blade was saying, and honestly, even when it's good, you can take it to another level, and that's what makes the best of the best.
Yeah.
So critical. And I just want to throw, I mean, Blade makes a really good point. And even when your stuff is actually, you get to the level that actually is good, and a lot of people say, "Oh, this is good," you can actually take it to another level, and that's where you become like a genius of what you do. And I just love to see the way my brother works.
Absolutely.
My brother does art. My brother does art, and he doesn't do music. But I watch him the way he works, and he takes forever to do anything. And a realist. He does realism, and so, but it's just like everything. It looks great. I'm like, oh, that's perfect, but it's never done for him because he takes it to another level. Takes it to another level. He takes it to another level because he asks himself, "He's like, that's good, and yes, everyone's gonna be impressed, but." I mean, it just takes it. You can always take it to another level. I started doing that with my music lately. Instead of just going, "Oh, that's a cool sample. That's a cool sound. I'm going to use it." I go, "Wait a minute. Is there a better sound in this line? Is there a better sample I could use?" Take it, and then you go, "Okay, that's a pretty cool chop, vocal chop." You're like, "Wait a minute, but that's been done before. Is there another way I could chop this that hasn't been done before? Like maybe, it's like, and then just start taking things to another level. Spend that time in the studio because we're producers. We want to spend. It's fun to be in the studio. So never look at it as like, oh great, my track sucks. I gotta go back to the studio. This sucks. No, we're supposed to be having a good time. If someone tells you something to do to your track, they should give you something to go do in the studio, and you should have a good time doing it. And you get back in the studio and you have a fun time exploring, experimenting, and making good music.
Yeah. And let's be honest.
Forgive us again.
Let's be honest.
We're leaving radio.
The walk to the studio isn't that long. The microphone is sitting right next to you. You can re-record that. You don't have to book an expensive studio session. So that's not any wasted money. It's if anything, it is wasted time. Though I would call it time spent. And I think this is time spent well. And I would just recommend to re-record those vocals with a bit more practice. Anyway, yeah, Radium. What do you have to say? Probably something about vocals too. I don't know. I think you said something like that.
Yes, I did have something to say about the vocals. I'll be honest, I wasn't listening to you guys, so I have no idea what was said or not said. So it's highly probable that I'm just going to repeat myself.
Which means that there's truth to the things that were said.
Yeah. So yeah, the vocals. It's kind of weird to that autotune or pitcher was using the vocals, but they still sounded so weird. They were limit off key at some points. Obviously singing is super hard, so just like word of advice, don't knock yourself out because you can't sing. Singing is super hard. Like even the best singers, if they didn't have a coach before their career started, they still have one today. Like I'm gonna name a good reference in singing and technique is Celine Dion, for example, and she still has a vocal coach, and there's a reason. Your voice is an instrument. You have to practice it. So on that, like, don't be defeated. If you can't sing or your singing isn't amazing, it happens to everyone. Just practice, especially if you want to use your vocals in your own songs. It's just practice. Yeah. But if I can help in many post-production when it comes to recording your vocals, so maybe they can sound a little bit better, I'd start with making sure you have the right mic or at least the right setup. Yes, multiple takes. Good mixing. Don't slap autotune on your vocals and then leave it at that. If you know you happen to sing off key, I feel like you before you stop autotune, you really have to like, for example, in FL Studio there's new tone, you'd really have to go like one by note in FL Studio to physically fix anything that's off key, and then put like a little bit different. It depends on what sound you want to have, but like a little bit of autotune at the end, so it sounds maybe better. And when it comes to post production, it depends on what you want the vocals to sound like. You know, if you want them to be purposefully like electronic, I guess no slap on that autotune. But if you want them to sound, I'm sorry, more natural, it's definitely a different type of post production, and it depends on everyone. So I wouldn't be able to say what you should do or not do. Um, Other than that, okay, I'm gonna say it anyway. Your sound, your track rather, sounds very basic. And again, it's the third time I'm saying this, but it does not mean it's bad. It just means that it sounds basic. It's radio music. Is it good? Is it bad? It depends on what you want out of your artistry. I mean, if you're fine with, making radio ready music, taking your bag and buying yourself a mansion in Calabasas, go ahead. If that's not what you want, then maybe it's time to, really sit down and ask yourself, what the fuck do I want out of my music? I feel like not just for you, but for many people, uh, many people who do music, I feel like at some point, many, many times in your artistry, it's good to sit down and ask yourself what's your objective, what you want out of it, what you want to achieve, because I feel like it can help you restructure, refocus. And I would especially ask that of you, of all people, for a simple reason. I'm gonna throw shade. Reading your comments in the live chat as we give feedback is both hilarious and concerning. So that's why I'm telling you, sit down, take like one afternoon, okay? Sit down and ask yourself, now what the fuck do I want to do? Because I don't know, the math isn't mathing. Like, what's going on? Because there's so many reactions that you give that's kind of confusing in a way, because it's like, do you want the feedback or do you not want the feedback? If you do want the feedback, what do you want out of it? If you don't want the feedback, why are you here? And I'm throwing shade. I'm sorry for being petty right now, but I feel like I need to mention this. Like, as Gil said it's better that your friends give you feedback that is not even harsh, in my opinion, at this point, that give you feedback that is honest than you putting your music out there and people start clowning you. Because the internet is like kindergarten. No one gives a shit about you unless you're like super popular. So yeah, I would definitely like take one afternoon this weekend, next week, I don't care when, like take a moment, ask yourself, what the fuck do I want? And I feel like it's gonna help you restructure um where you want to go, what you want to do with your music. And again, I'll say it again, it's not bad. You're actually improving a lot. But if I heard this track, I would first of all, something with the theme escaping in EDM, dime a dozen. Second of all, it sounds like radio music. It sounds like club music. But like not club music on a Saturday night, on a Tuesday night. The only people here are bums. So that's my metaphor for, ask yourself what you want. Maybe it's gonna help you. And no matter what the answer in your head is, it's valid to me. So even if the answer is I just want to make money, it's valid. If the answer is I want to be an artist, it's valid. So yeah, just take some reflection. And again, I'll end my feedback with the track is good. I mean, the vocals need work, but you know, the track is good. Just work on the vocals, and again, the vocals are muscle. It's something that you develop over time.
100%. All right.
All right.
Uh,
Sorry, what?
I was saying that was the last one, right?
Yeah. That's the end.
All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. I guess we'll wrap this up. Unless you want to do it, Blay, I don't mind.
No, you can wrap it up. I
Remind
think there's some announcements you wanted to make.
Yeah, just remind everybody to join our Discord. Our Discord is growing. I've been inviting some people. I'm just inviting people that I've talked to in the past that have submitted to our competitions, and to different challenges that we've done and things like that. And then members that have used to be active that were a certain level. I've sent out some messages, and it actually happened. We've gotten quite a few people to join our Discord, which is pretty neat. So I'm going to continue to do that. And then we just continue to go to Discord. So if you're not already in the Discord, please join our Discord. You'll see a link to it on our channels and on the YouTube channel and stuff. And then I can't remember any other thing. I will be gathering up the submissions for the J Piercy remix competition. I'll get those all to J Piercy by the end of the day. And then tomorrow, tune into the production stream on Twitch. That's at 8 p.m. UTC, 4 p.m. Eastern time. I will be working on some music, having fun, and stuff like that. If you want to send me some samples, go ahead. We'll throw them into the mix. That's what it's all about. It's just a production stream. We talk about music and figure some, experiment and stuff like that. Thanks everyone for being in the chat. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for coming by, Antimatter. It's always cool to see you. Antimatter was in the production stream last Saturday. That was cool. Miro, so was Miro. Thanks for coming by, Miro. KP, thanks for submitting as usual. Radium, thanks for feedback. Blay Hub streams this for us, so thanks Blay for streaming. And I will see everyone back in the community.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.